Greetings, everyone. Welcome to my channel. If you're watching me on YouTube and if you're joining me on Spotify, welcome to the Nicole Ambrosia podcast. And today we are talking about why raising your vibration doesn't work unless you do these things. Okay? Because, listen, if we're being honest, it can be very challenging to raise your vibration if your diet is toxic, okay, and your home is chaotic, in your relationship or any relationship that you're in is draining you and sucking the life force out of you, literally, and the media that you're consuming is hijacking your emotions. So if you're consuming content and you're being led to guilt, fear, shame, anxiety, your emotions are being hijacked by the media that you're consuming. So let's get real about why most people can't hold a high frequency. Okay? You can't meditate your way out of inflammation. If you're having physical inflammation in your body, you also have inflammation in your brain. Most people's brains are inflamed because they're living an inflammatory lifestyle. And it's not just about the diet. So if your body is weighed down with junk food and alcohol and constant stress and these outside stresses and internal stresses due to the way that you're thinking, your vibration will always crash. You're not going to be able to be elevated if these control groups, we'll just call these, your environment is chaotic and you're consuming food that does not belong in your body, that does not love you back. Okay, because your body is an architect of spirit and it's also the instrument of our spirit, right? So the intention is here to be well tuned. And we're not going to be in tune and we're not going to be well tuned and we're not going to be able to tune in if we're having all this inflammation and we're being inflamed from the outside in and the inside out, right? Because the body is just going to be throwing off signal lights on our dashboard saying that the world is not safe. It's very challenging to be peaceful when we feel like our environment is not safe, whether it's from food or people or just the chaos in the mess of the home that we've created that we're not cleaning up for whatever reason. Okay, so let's talk about the environment. Your space is supposed to be and should be, and I'm going to use the word should, if you do want to live an elevated, high vibrational lifestyle, to be a creatrix of your reality and to be fully empowered, your environment is your sanctuary. Okay. If your environment is cluttered, noisy, or filled with, or it's just like stagnant energy, it keeps your nervous system on edge. So there's the siren. So whether you are consciously aware of it or not, your environment, your home is reflective of what's going on inside. So you can, in fact, clean up your home environment. And I don't know if you've ever done this, but like you clean up or you have the maids come, the cleaning ladies, and they clean up and you just feel so much better. Like your mind is clear. This is what's happening. So a high frequency, to have a high frequency, having a high frequency thrives on order and beauty, right? So let's get some feng shui happening and some awareness about what is actually going on in our environment, the space that we're living, and then kind of just think, oh, is my mind also chaotic as my space, or does it feel clear and clean and uncluttered? Okay, because I personally cannot do work, I cannot relax unless my space is an environment is clean. Okay, so let's look at relationships. Just bring it to mind all the relationships in your life. And we're thinking about these relationships. So our relationships are our most powerful frequency mirrors. When I'm in a relationship, this is a reflection on where I'm at in my frequency. So if you're with someone who belittles, drains you, ignores you, okay, their energy becomes your vibration. But there are mirrors because that is how you're treating yourself. So when I've been in disempowered uh, in relationships, right? I'm wanting to be in relationship and it ends up being like this codependent, very strange situation. I gave a part of my power to that relationship. And because my lesson is to be full sovereignty and autonomous, the relationship reflected back to me where I was not that. And I felt and I experienced that as pain. So the relationship reflected back to me where I was out of my power. And I've been in a bunch of different relationships to reflect to me each and every level at which I needed to grow and ascend in my own sovereignty and empowerment. So, no affirmation, what I'm saying is, no affirmation can cancel out constant emotional warfare. So if in a relationship, it's draining, it's sucking the life out of me. There's constant, if there's like arguing, belittling, name calling, okay, someone's trying to manipulate your emotions and they're trying, there's like all this chaotic, distorted energy. Okay, you can't affirm your way out of that. You can be like, this is not happening because that would be, you know, what do we call that? Gaslighting your own self. But also realize that your relationships are how you actually treat yourself. So, media consumption is the invisible trap, also. Okay. And the constant scrolling, the news cycle, and this is designed to capture your attention and to pull your energy out of your divinity, out of your mission, out of your purpose, and out of your power. Okay, so it's emotional bait. It's designed to capture your attention through these horrific stories and to what it creates an arousal in the body. So media is designed to keep you triggered, to keep you divided and distracted so that you can never rise high enough to create the world that we actually want. We've become addicted as a culture to the scrolling, to the division, to these illusions, to these stories that are only meant to keep us out of having a high enough frequency to create a more beautiful world that our hearts know is possible. Love this book by Charles Eisenstein, by the way, highly recommended. And I keep bringing this up because it's true. We pay attention, you pay it, you give your energy to something, and this is your most prized, more valuable than money. Your attention is more valuable than money. That's why everyone is vying for your attention, because it's like cha-ching, cha-ching. Okay, so if you don't want to be, how do we say this? If you don't want to be a disempowered zombie under these illusions and programs and distortions and division, then the best way to get out of that is to completely, you got to turn off the news. You have to stop subscribing to media that activates your emotions in such a way to where you're thrown off your center. Okay. So if your attention is constantly being hijacked like this by outrage and also comparison, your vibration is not your own. You then don't become yourself. You're not in yourself. You become the program. Okay, your vibration is being controlled. and you're in the zombie program, you're in this state, right? Because you're emotionally reacting to something on the screen. And no human being is, we're not designed evolutionarily to be constantly bombarded with these uh, highly distorted, this high quantifiable amount of infractions on our nervous system, right? So we're always being pulled out in an addictive way out of our center and who we came here to be, based on just going through scrolling on this addictive media outlets as such. Okay, so true high vibration, it's actually not about chasing bliss. And from my experience, it's not even about qualifying myself as happy all the time. So that's like not even a goal. Living in a high vibration doesn't mean I'm not going to feel sad every once in a while. Doesn't mean I'm not going to feel intense. I'm not going to feel, you know, angry sometimes, right? Living in a high vibration is about sovereignty. It's about cleaning the inputs, purifying the inputs, what we eat, where and how we live, who you are choosing to love, and what we're consuming online. So when you reclaim your attention, your body, your relationships, and your vibration naturally stabilize. So beyond happiness, beyond chasing the material things, beyond chasing bliss, beyond being able to categorize yourself as an enlightened human being, because none of that matters if you are not at peace, right? So we have an envision of like what success looks like. I'll be happy when, okay, I need this relationship to validate my, or whatever story you're having about the thing where you're justifying the thing that keeps you out of your peace. That's the thing that's distracting you from your true self. So that's essentially, that's what the secret is, is when we reclaim our attention, when we reclaim our devotion, when we reclaim our self-worth and our power. That's when we're able to be in sovereignty and to be at a quote unquote high vibration. Okay, so if you're wondering, or if you've ever wondered why your vibration won't stay high, you can just stop blaming yourself, even though it is important to take responsibility for everything that you've created up to this point in your life, because our outer environment is a reflection, but it's also showing us where we need to grow and where we need to heal to take us to our next level. So somebody said that a lot of old souls front load all of this karma and terrible things happening to us, right? To be able to be more in our power. So I've had this happen where I've been in relationships where it wasn't good. And so we can just call that a toxic relationship, where I was giving away my power to teach me how to be in my power. Does that mean I'm not in a high vibration? It was more challenging to be peaceful, to create the life that I want. And then you have to, I was having to dig myself out of these relationships because I had to have the practice in reclaiming who I was and my sovereignty before I can go to the next step. So if you're in a situation where your home environment's chaotic, you're in a toxic relationship, right, and you're eating junk food, just know that these, and you feel like shit, that this is, you're not imperfect, you're not out of place, but the calling, if you do choose, is to, the accomplishment is in taking your sovereignty back, and especially with the kind of media that you're consuming, because we can't create a more harmonious world or heaven on earth if we're continually being divided, or our internal environment is toxic and we're just inflamed in the inside out. So if you're experiencing, even if it's just like inflammation, it's such a beautiful opportunity to be able to shift, not because you don't like yourself, but because you appreciate this life, you know that it can be better, you know your life can be better, and you have a true desire to experience peace. It's just shifting the frequency of the food, the environment, what you're subjecting yourself into, so you're no longer distracted or detracted away from who you came here to divinely be, right? So look at the inputs. Focus on nourishing your body out of love. Refine your environment. Clean up. Get rid of the physical items that you no longer want to identify with, right? And honor your relationships. Okay, and we're not pointing the finger and blaming other people for where we're at. We're taking full responsibility, because this is the only way we can get into true sovereignty, right? So, and then most of all, protect your attention. Protect your attention. That's when meditation, prayer, and ritual actually can most benefit you and lift you into a frequency that cannot be shaken, right? So if you enjoyed this video, thank you so much for watching to the very end. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like this video, share it with a friend, or this podcast, and click below so you can download. So I have the temple workbook below, to where you can further refine your daily existence and your living. And all the links are below to my medias. And I just want to remind you that you are sovereign over your frequency. And I would love it if we can just all rise together. And also, if you would like coaching from me, those links are also in the description. And that is all. I love you so much. Bye.